Hey everyone, welcome back to Helping Make Sense. In today's video, I wanted to go over different types of insurances that you should have if you are a working adult, and depending on your situation, some things to think about as you choose the type of policies. There will be things that factor into this as far as risk threshold, things that are required by law, other variables to consider depending on your place in life. So with that being said, let's get into it to discuss different types of insurances that are probably good to at least consider having if you don't already have them. Just to start off in general, I wanted to make very clear, insurance is not a financial product that will make you rich. It is something that will protect you from going broke. So if you get into some type of accident or if you injure somebody else in a car or something like that, that can wipe out years and years of savings. So think of this more as a protective measure rather than a wasted expense that takes away from your monthly budget. The first type of insurance I want to talk about really briefly is health insurance. As we all know, health insurance and the healthcare industry is generally very, very complex. If you're interested, I'm happy to do a specific video about health insurance. That's one of my specialties, in fact. But keep in mind, medical debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy in the US. So if you don't have coverage or if you don't have great coverage, you could be on the hook for hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. When you're making the decision as to what policy is right for you, and this is whether you're getting it through your employer or through the exchange, or perhaps you are eligible for a government plan like Medicare or Medicaid, you're going to want to weigh the risk of how much you want to pay by way of premium or the cost to have coverage against how likely you are to have to use that insurance. Because if you do have to use it, you'll have to pay deductibles, co-pays, out-of-pockets, and so on. And one main concept with insurance that I think resonates the most with health insurance is the higher the premium, or the more you pay to have the insurance, the lower your deductible would be, meaning the less that you'll have to pay if you have to use it. So they are inversely related. Now, many large employers offer health insurance to their employees and their immediate families, and your employers will pay a generous portion, typically, of that cost to have coverage. So that's generally going to be the best option if you or your spouse is at an employer that offers health insurance, but it is available in other places as well. Again, happy to do a deeper dive on that in another video. Just let me know in the comments. Another type of insurance you should pretty much always have is car insurance if you drive. Again, this is another type of insurance that's required by law in most places. Keep in mind that even though it may feel like a wasted expense, whether you're paying every 6 months or whether you're paying every month or year or whatever the fee schedule is for your car insurance, remember that if you injure somebody, even if it's an accident, they may come after you for things like pain and suffering, emotional damage, trauma, and having a good auto insurance policy helps to protect you from them potentially depleting your net worth. There are a bunch of different types of lines in auto insurance, like collision, comprehensive. Laws can vary state to state as well as far as some of the different lines that you're required to have minimums on, as well as whether you're leasing or owning or financing your vehicle. So again, happy to do a breakdown in that, but auto insurance, if you have a car and drive, you pretty much have to have it legally. And again, you'll want to assess how high of a premium you want to pay in the event that if you have to use the insurance, if you have to file a claim, the deductible will be, again, inversely proportional to the premium. When it comes to protecting your residence, whether you're a renter or a homeowner, this is the next type of insurance policy that is probably pretty good to have, and again, is more often than not required by landlords or if you have a mortgage. It's a necessary insurance that protects your valuables, specifically your home if you own your home. The premiums on these, particularly for renters, are generally not too bad when you consider the potential amount of things you're having covered. And again, there is a level of protection here that hopefully you never have to encounter, but lawsuits can become a very real thing where if somebody is suing you for something, the insurance can mitigate how much they can take from you and the assets and investments that you've built over time. So those are the big three that you're probably fairly familiar with and probably will want to have some level of coverage, again, depending on your situation in life. The next type of insurance policy I want to touch on is life insurance. Life insurance is what will replace your income if something happens to you. There's term life and whole life policies. Happy to talk about that in detail, but pretty much all the time, term plans are the way you're going to want to go. And these types of policies become more necessary and appealing when you have people who depend on your income, specifically children. You'll probably want to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 10, 15, maybe 20 times your income as far as a policy goes. So if you make $50,000 a year, you'll want at least $500,000 worth of coverage on a term plan. To that end, if you're single or maybe married with no kids, if nobody depends on your income and you have nobody who is in your immediate circle, such as a spouse, children, stepchildren, you may not need life insurance. So I would encourage you to ask yourself, if I pursue this type of policy, who would I want to be my beneficiary? Or another way to ask that question is, who depends on me? Keep in mind as well, if you're working, many employers offer this and you can buy up the face value of the policy, usually for very cheap. So definitely encourage you looking at options through your employer if they are offering it to you as an added benefit. Really quickly, I want to touch on three other more nice to have and perhaps not necessary types of insurance that may be worth considering for you. Umbrella insurance is one. This is an idea that as your net worth grows into 6, maybe 7 or 8 figures, this is extended liability beyond your home insurance policy, your auto insurance policy. It comes into play when those policies have maxed out. So if you get in a horrific accident and let's say you have comprehensive and collision liability up to $500,000 and the auto insurance company says we've maxed out, we've paid everything, it's on you now, umbrella insurance can kick in and they can start to make up whatever is left on that claim. Again, this is another mechanism of protection against big lawsuits, particularly when you have a high net worth or a high level of things to protect. If you're in an age bracket where long-term care insurance is relevant, that's another good option to consider. Again, something that's nice to have. It can help offset the cost of nursing homes, assisted living. It is a little bit on the pricier side, but if you have the means to afford it, it's a good option to consider, again, if you're at that place in your life. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on pet insurance. If you have a furry household companion or many, pet insurance can, of course, help offset any veterinary costs that are unexpected. Definitely make sure you understand how the policy works before enrolling in it. I just say that because from what I have heard about pet insurance policies, if the animal already has or could have a certain condition, the insurance plan will not pay out anything related to that, which is unlike human health insurance. So again, I'm not saying don't do it, but I do want you to make sure that you understand the rules of the policy and how to apply it should you need to use it. So again, that was a super quick rundown of some different types of insurance in order kind of necessity that you should have them in. Really quick, just to touch on the psychological approach to insurance. Whenever you're paying the premium or choosing a plan, it's always this feeling of, oh, I have to pay for this and I'm not immediately getting something back, which is true. And I want to give space to you, and if you're married or have someone close to you who you're making these decisions with, please evaluate your risk tolerance. There's definitely other types of insurance, or even within the ones that I mentioned, where some individuals or families will choose to pay more in their premium because it just helps them feel better. It is absolutely worth paying more for comfort or peace of mind if it helps you sleep better, it increases your mental health, things like this. But at the same time, if you're pretty comfortable and have a higher risk tolerance, I would encourage you to look at the policy and maybe don't spend money if you don't think you're going to use it very much. So here's kind of a good framework I just want to wrap up with. I would recommend insuring against things that are not likely to happen, but if they do, they could cost you a lot. Homeowners insurance is the best example of that. If your house, God forbid, catches fire, or if you're in a car accident, not super likely that that will happen, but if it does, it can drain everything from you, both financially, mentally, emotionally, etc. But if something is a little more likely but doesn't cost you as much to just replace, something like a phone breaking, I probably wouldn't insure that, right? Hopefully you would have enough cash and just be prudent enough in your behavior so that ideally you don't have to insure it because you wouldn't have used it if you did insure it. So I hope this brief rundown makes sense. Insurance is a topic that can be tricky to navigate because it's something that we generally don't want to have to use. But if it's not legally required, there oftentimes is a place for it for peace of mind, protection, etc. As always, please let me know if you'd like me to break down any of the different types of insurance or what might be right for different people in different phases of life with different family structures. Happy to do a more detailed video. This was very high level. So again, if you've made it to this point, thank you as always for watching. See you all in the next video.